Finally, our new house was completed. The anticipation of beginning a new daily life was swelling within me. Then, unexpectedly, my in-laws dropped by. "We will be living in this house. Ask your parents to leave," they said. "Excuse me?" Confused, I turned to my husband for support. But he took a deep breath and responded, "Do as they say. Please let your parents know gently." Without even exchanging more words, my in-laws started moving in their belongings. As they excitedly peeked around the house, I sharply asked, "Do you know whose house this is?" "My name is Nina. I'm 35 and work as a company employee. It's been 3 years since I married my husband, Matt. We don't have children yet, but we live a loving life together. My current worry is about my aging parents. Their mobility is declining, and it worries me. Considering this, I proposed to my husband that we live with them. He readily agreed, saying, "Living with your parents isn't an issue. It'll give us a chance to care for them, and you'll be at peace. It's a win-win." "Thank you, Matt," I replied. At that moment, I was filled with gratitude for having such a caring husband. So, we started preparations for living together. However, implementing this plan immediately was challenging. My family home is located quite a distance from the city, which would hinder our work. Neither of us is allowed to commute by car, making living at my family home difficult. Moving my parents to the city isn't realistic either. We currently live in a rental flat suitable for 2. Living with 4 people in it would be tight. And if we had a child, space would be even scarcer. There seemed to be no advantages. Then an idea struck me. Hey, given the timing, why don't we boldly build a spacious new house? When I suggested this to my husband, his face lit up. "That's brilliant. It would be great if we all could relax in a spacious new home." Thus, with his support, we started planning our new home. Telling my parents, they felt bad about us building a house for them. But after explaining our reasons, they understood and were delighted. This warmed my heart. Later, my husband and I visited a real estate agency to work out the details. We considered locations near hospitals for my parents' health and close to train stations for commuting. We also discussed the house's specifications in detail. Though I wanted advice from my parents, they seemed content just to live with us. Thankfully, my husband provided many ideas, making the planning process smoother. Slowly, our dream home began to take shape, and the reality was exciting. Finally, after discussions and online research, our new house's plan was finalized, and it was time to consult with builders. "We're almost done with the preparations," I said. "Building a house is harder than I thought." My husband remarked, "When you're juggling it with work, progress is hard to come by, isn't it?" We spent a lot of time on our plans, but we were incredibly satisfied with the results. The blueprint of the house we spent so much time crafting exceeded our expectations. To get to this point, we consulted with various real estate agents and gathered data online. Now all we have to do is look forward to the completion of the house. It'll take time, but the excitement and anticipation are unending. However, upon hearing this, my in-laws started reaching out more frequently. "Mina, dear, we've heard. You two are building a new house, right?" "Yes, that's right. We're planning to finish it by the end of the year." "How wonderful. I'm so impressed with Matt's efforts. You'll fill us in on all the details, won't you? To visit us soon." Okay, sure." Caught off guard by my mother-in-law's words, my husband and I decided to visit their house over the weekend. They greeted us with smiles as we arrived. Building a brand new home is such a joyous occasion. Just thinking about it is exciting, isn't it? My father-in-law remarked as if he was talking about himself. "Yes, we can't wait. We hope the construction goes smoothly with no hitches. But we also hope it finishes quickly because we're eager to move into the new house." We all shared a laugh. Building a house really is a happy topic. "By the way, could you show us the blueprints?" In response to my mother-in-law's request, my husband showed them the design he had photographed on his phone. "Oh, it's quite spacious," she commented. "And so many rooms." "Yes, well, we'll be living with Nina's parents, so we need the space." "Wait, you're living together?" Both in-laws looked at my husband in shock. "You two are moving in with Nina's parents?" "Yes, Nina's parents are getting on in years. We suggested living together, and that sparked the decision to build a new house." "Really? I see, moving in together." There was a noticeable change in the tone of their voices. From their perspective, they might be a bit discontented. Wanting to steer away from the topic, I tried to change the subject. "How have you two been lately? How's your health?" "We're doing well, nothing new. Just our usual routine." "Tell us more about the new house. Which room are Nina's parents using?" "Well, we're thinking of this room as of now," my husband explained while pointing to the blueprint. He seemed oblivious, but I noticed the moment they learned my parents would be moving in, their expressions unmistakably tensed up. They might feel like my parents are being given preferential treatment. I felt a little guilty, but I hoped they'd understand our decision, given my parents' circumstances. However, it seemed they were far from accepting it. The construction of our home was progressing smoothly. Each time we visited, it was noticeably closer to completion. Just as my husband had often said before, I was torn between the desire to move in quickly and the hope that it would be built perfectly. My parents came to see the house midway through its construction, and they were both extremely pleased. I felt grateful to be able to honor them in this way. However, there was one thing that concerned me. Lately, my husband has been in frequent contact with his parents. He had started visiting them almost every weekend. Are you going to see your parents again this weekend? Yeah, I am. You've been visiting them quite often since the beginning of the year. I need to show my appreciation to them too. That's why I've been visiting them on my days off. I see. Matt, you're so kind. Should I come with you? I was honestly worried about whether his parents might feel disappointed. Maybe they had hoped to live with us, and this thought made me consider visiting them as a gesture of goodwill. But my husband reassured me, it's okay. I can handle it on my own, and headed off to his parents' home. I decided to respect his decision, promising to support him whenever needed. Time flew by, and our house was finally complete. On moving day, we packed our car with boxes and set off excitedly for our new home. Upon arriving and seeing it, we were truly moved. I was so overwhelmed that I exclaimed, wow. Our newly built home signaled the beginning of a fresh chapter. I began imagining our future life there. Perhaps cooking while watching my husband and our future child playing in the yard, or all of us enjoying a barbecue. These visions heightened my anticipation even more. My parents, who were set to move in with us, called to say they'd be late due to traffic. They told us to go ahead and settle in. But I replied, we'll wait for you, intending to convey the same to my husband. To our surprise, my husband's parents arrived unexpectedly. I was taken aback and stared at their car in disbelief. Why are they here? They stepped out of the car beaming and walked towards us. Look at this magnificent house. It's impressive enough to show off to our friends. Yes, it's the house that Nina and I meticulously planned. Nina, you've got great taste too. Well, I suppose I can give her credit for that. Thank you. Before we knew it, they started unloading a lot of stuff from their car. Startled, I hastily asked, Mother-in-law, Father-in-law, why do you have so much luggage? What are you planning? To my astonishment, they replied, what do you mean? We're moving our things into this house. What? From today, we'll be living here. So you'll need to ask your parents to leave. What? Why would you? In response to my confusion, my mother-in-law answered with a hint of exasperation. As a new bride, it's customary to value your husband's parents. So we should be the ones moving into the new house. But once you understand, please inform your parents. We're busy moving our stuff. Feeling overwhelmed, I turned to my husband for support. But he took a deep breath and replied, do as she says. Just break it gently to your parents. But this house was meant for me and my parents. I can't accept such a one-sided decision. I snapped back at my husband, who retorted with visible irritation. Didn't my mom just say? It's natural for a wife to prioritize her husband's family. We can think about your parents later. I couldn't believe it. It was clear my husband was influenced by his parents. Or perhaps he had always thought like them. And this situation brought it out more prominently. Come on, help with the moving. With those words, members of my in-laws family began taking things out. Even though neither I nor my parents had stepped inside, they entered without permission. Oh, how wonderful! The interior is splendid too. As my in-laws excitedly surveyed the house, I challenged them. Do you know who this residence belongs to? What? There was a brief pause before they faced me. Whose house? Of course, it's Matt's. You're not planning to claim that it's the marital home, are you? Given that you rely on Matt for a living and he's built such a magnificent house, you have no right to make any claims. Without letting me explain, my in-laws jumped to conclusions and blamed me. It seemed my husband hadn't told them about our finances. Why would your parents live in Matt's house in the first place? Yes, that's odd. Poor Matt, having such a rude wife and parents. I was at my wit's end. Why was I being so criticized based on their misunderstandings? If you intend to live here, then Matt should repay the amount I contributed to this house. At my words, my in-laws gazed at me in astonishment. How much are you claiming to have paid? It must be a trivial amount, maybe $800, they said mockingly. However, my husband looked uncomfortable and remained silent. I caught his eye and said, not being honest, are you? How high and mighty do you think you are? Huh? That's. He faltered in response. What on earth are you implying? My mother-in-law confronted me with a domineering attitude. My husband didn't seem willing to discuss the situation on his own. So I decided to explain the truth to my in-laws myself. I bought this house entirely with my savings. So if you intend to live here, I'd like you to repay me $35,000 for the cost of this house. Upon hearing this, my in-laws were shocked, with their mouths agape and eyes wide. They looked to my husband for confirmation. Matt, is this true? Is it really Nina who bought this house? In response to their questions, my husband nodded slightly. Nina bought the house. She got promoted quickly at her job. And she earns more than I do. But you've been working for a long time too. Yes, and you graduated from a prestigious university. You should be earning a decent salary, right? Well, I made a big mistake at the company. I can't get promoted and even had a pay cut. Now I earn as much as a newbie who just joined the company. When my husband revealed the truth, my in-laws were lost for words. We never imagined Matt would be in such a situation. After a brief silence, their confrontational attitude changed completely, and they began to apologize to me. Nina, we're so sorry for our rude words earlier. We misunderstood. Please forgive us. Please let us stay in this house. What? They both continued to apologize profusely. My husband also bowed deeply. Please, it's my fault for not telling you earlier. Allow us to live with you. I was completely taken aback by their words and actions. Regardless of how much you beg, I can't accept that. I built this house to live with my parents. If I can't live with them, there's no point in having this house. If you want to live here, pay me $35,000. We don't have that kind of money. Then it seems you'll have to look elsewhere. Wait, we sold our previous home and left. If we're evicted from here, we have nowhere to go. Nina, please let us stay. Your parents can live with us too. What are they thinking? Living under one roof with a couple and both sets of parents is unthinkable. I can't. If you sold your house, you must have some money left. Why not use that to find a flat? Upon hearing this, tears streamed down my in-laws' faces. The truth is, we lost a lot of money in a bad investment recently. The money from selling our house and our retirement funds went towards paying off that debt. We have nothing left. I'm already retired, and my wife has been a housewife for years, so she can't work at this age. You're our last hope, Nina. As heartfelt as my father-in-law sounded, it all boiled down to mistakes they made. If you need help, shouldn't you ask your son? I'm not in a position to support strangers. Why not? Aren't we family too? That's just too much. Can't you at least help us out a bit? It's impossible. I can't even imagine living with a husband who supports a parent trying to forcefully take over our home. Matt, let's get a divorce. What? Wait a minute, Nina. I can't even think about a divorce. I'm sorry, but I can't forgive this. Please leave right now. The moment I declared that I wanted a divorce, my husband started to panic. My in-laws pleaded with me again. But as far as I was concerned, I had long lost any willingness to forgive them. If you plan to stay here, I'll call the police, I said, making my in-laws flee in fear. On the other hand, my husband asserted, I'm still your husband. I should have the right to stay here. When I responded, if you force the issue, I'll take legal action, his expression completely changed, and he quickly grabbed his belongings and left. Given the troubles he's having at work, a lawsuit would likely cost him his job. He understood that and therefore left in a hurry. Shortly after my husband left, my parents arrived. They were puzzled by his absence, but were shocked when I explained the situation. They thanked me, saying, "Thank you for standing up for us." I do wish my husband was more understanding, but there's nothing I can do about it. I'm genuinely relieved that I severed ties with such a selfish in-law family before our child was born. Afterwards, the divorce process went smoothly, and I became single again. Now, I'm living peacefully every day in a newly built house with my parents.